Hello everyone, this is Mike from Adventures in Flight, and we are back here at the City Center in Cumming, Georgia. And we are going to fly today the Air 3S. Now, I've yet to fly this drone here in this area, and it would be kind of foolish for me to compare this to my prior test here between the Sky Rover and the Potensic Atom 2, because quite frankly, this drone blows everything out of the water. It is easily the best drone I've ever had. So here's what we're going to do here today. We are going to fly two different patterns here. First, we're going to replicate the path that the Atom 2 and the Sky Rover X1 did, where we will start right over in this region, and then we will proceed over there. Then we'll go to the second row of buildings back there, and then fly around, come back this way, and then we'll proceed over the trees to the football stadium that is over there. So pretty straightforward. It's kind of a cool day here, but the weather conditions are perfect for what we're going to do. So enough talk, let's get to it. Alrighty, as the man said, let's get to it. So this is being recorded post-production, so fortunately I don't have the ability to record as I fly just yet. I've got some of the equipment to do that, but that's kind of very low on my priority list, so you'll have to forgive me. In the background, you do see Sawnee Mountain, which will have a special feature on that following this particular video. But anyway, this specific clip is going to replicate the path that the Atom 2 and the Sky Rover X1 did a couple of weeks ago as a comparison of their specific waypoints and utilizing points of interest. Now, as I mentioned in the pre-recorded version, this would be an unfair fight between this drone and the other two, because quite frankly, this is a vastly superior drone to those two. But anyway, the Air 3S has just begun its mission to keep things consistent. It is using the band shell at the amphitheater as its point of interest. And just like the Sky Rover X1, there are no stops, no delays. It's pretty smooth in terms of what we're seeing here. Again, we're flying over the second set of buildings, so we are not over anyone who is walking on the streets. And we are looking at the center point of the band shell. During the summer and spring and fall, they do have concerts here. Obviously, during this time of the year, not a lot of activities per se. They will have some events for the kids with blow-up items and what have you. They actually have a little train in there that circles this little path, and the kids seem to like that. And unfortunately, the city center has not exactly been completely successful. There are several closed businesses in there, and that's unfortunate because the city has put a lot of money into this building. All right, well, let's get back to the drone and our footage here. Again, it is coming up behind the band shell, and you can see ordinarily that area of water behind the band shell does have fountains. Those fountains have not been working since the end of fall, so it looks kind of murky in there. As you can see, as we progress around, you can tell there's water in there. All right, well, the drone is now going to begin its pathway to the football stadium for Central Forsyth High School. I have no ties to this high school whatsoever. In fact, I didn't know this high school existed until I started flying drones over here and noticed that the football field was behind the city center. But anyway, here we are back at the city center, or the football field for Forsyth Central, or Central Forsyth. I don't know which is which, but anyway, we're using the logo, the FC in the center of the field, as the point of interest. About here in the footage, you're going to notice a little bit of shakiness, which I found unusual, but part of that is due to the wind. We did have some high wind gusts. Everything according to the weather forecast or my weather app was that it was safe for flight, good for flight, but at that particular region, it was, or the drone was facing the northwest, which is where the wind is coming from. So just one thing to keep in mind. That's just, again, one of those things that happen. You know, you can't always predict the wind direction and everything of that nature. But the drone has now made a complete circle around the stadium, and the Air 3S should be heading back to the starting point here in just a moment. All right, we are now heading back to that area. Again, this is a completely automated flight. The good news with this drone is it's so large, you can see it from just about anywhere. I'm quite amazed at how far you can see it from the vantage point I have. I normally have to adjust my vantage points so that I can keep a line of sight on drones, but this one, I was able to stay in one place at one time. The drone is making its return to the starting point. And again, you'll see Sawnee Mountain over, well, partially over to the right. We'll have a quick little video of that here in just a second. All right, we'll go ahead and let the drone land, and we'll begin the second part of our YouTube presentation here momentarily. Oh, now I can't forget, the DJI precision landing is always an amazing thing to see. When you see how it targets the spot, it's just so amazing. It is rare that it misses. Now, I had one near miss here, but that was a different story with a different drone. But anyway, we'll get to the remainder of our presentation. All right, that first flight was a smashing success. I had it go a little bit faster than I normally would, but oh well. Anyway, we're going to go on part 2 of our journey here. And as you can hear, the home point has been updated, so we're getting ready for our next flight. Next flight is going to take us near Sawnee Mountain. Again, if you've seen any of my videos in the past, you know this is a very nice region with a mountain in the background here. Although I may have some friends in the air that may prevent this, but I think if I choose my path correctly, I should be okay. There's a couple of hawks circling around, but I don't plan to go to that region. Anyway, we'll go up toward the mountain, and we'll see how things look from there. And then we'll come back to this spot and provide a recap. All right, here we go. All right, here we go indeed. So we are climbing up to Sawnee Mountain. I did pick an area to avoid the hawks, so there were no issues with that. This is only a 90-second video of this ascent, so to speak, up to Sawney Mountain. Ordinarily, there's a lot of green, and during the fall, during the changing of the colors, there are some vivid colors. I was able to capture that in some prior videos, and that's part of the project I've been working on that seems to be taking forever. Now, I did cut short this flight because, as you may notice, it looked like the tops of the trees were getting closer and closer as we were getting toward the top. And quite frankly, I did not want to endure a drone crash in this region, although the obstacle avoidance may have prevented that, but I should have chosen a higher elevation to be able to do this. But regardless, this is a quick shot of going up to Sawney Mountain. We'll now provide a recap and conclude this video. All right, here is the Air 3S after its journey from Sawney Mountain. Obviously, that was a quick adventure. I'm getting cold and wasn't properly dressed for this occasion. This drone blows everything I've ever had away. It is so awesome. If you can get your hands on one, and I know here in the United States it's a little challenging, but if you can get your hands on one, I highly, highly recommend it. This is a superior drone. And yes, I know there are the Mavic 4s out there, which are even better than this, but this is truly a spectacular drone. I would recommend it. All right. Again, thank you all for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and press notify whenever I put up new content so you'll be alerted. With that being said, this is Mike from Adventures in Flight. Thank you all for joining. And as I always say, bye for now.